Welcome to AHDR, the Chop Racing out on Zwift. We are on the London Classic course today for 5 laps. The D's have gotten out on course already, and we have alongside me, and I am Nathan Garrett, by the way, host today, and I got alongside me Mr. Pat Shaw coming from the land down under. Pat, it's going to be some fast and furious racing, I think, out there again. The D's have won the last 2 weeks, which has been a little bit of an upset, I think, for a lot of the riders. But what do you think things are going to play out this week?
Well, hopefully something in the middle gets a chance this week because we've had D grade take out 2 weeks and A grade take out 3 weeks. So the 5 weeks of streaming so far. So looking forward to some good racing. It's great to see some strong numbers as well. A little bit of bad luck for the rest of the field though, but the group that looks like it's gaining the most traction is the group that's winning, D grade. So they've got about 50 riders in their group tonight and look very strong again.
Yeah, the D grade is already out on course. We got 153 to the start of the race for the C's. We'll be jumping in with the D grade in and amongst the C grade here with our feeds. We also do have the B's here with the 4:45 to go to the start. So it looks like it's a 3-minute difference between the B and the C category, which is a little bit different than usual, I believe, here. And then in the A category, it's still 6 minutes and 32 seconds. So just a 2-minute difference here. Now, we've been out on this course already once before. I think they've changed it up just a tad from the last time. A little bit of learning lessons, I think, between the categories from the last time we were out on course there. So, I'm going to take a look here at zwiftpower.com real quick, get some event information. Again, it is a priority event over on zwiftpower.com, so make sure to jump on over there if you want to watch all the results as well as see what things are as far as the watts per kilogram that people are holding during the race event. We already are seeing the ride leaders out here giving a little bit of encouragement. Simpson out there from HDR Ladies. Good to see her encouraging the riders on. And you actually were able to, I believe, have a chat there with Simpson over a couple days ago.
Yeah, well, I just got back yesterday from the Sydney live event for the SRAM Senate Series, 6th week and the final round, and it was really great racing. For those that didn't catch it, there's plenty of social media posts going out from Zwift and also the people that were in attendance on the night, but I did get to see Crystal, and I took that chance to go up and personally congratulate her on how good of a ride leader she has been, and she had a few questions of her own about whether the information she was giving was good enough. And I just said, no, it's spot on. And we've seen her groups compete very well over the weeks. So, yes, it was great to catch up and finally meet and put a face to the name.
We are seeing Crystal give it a little encouragement there right before they do get going here, and we are seeing the C category get taking off here. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with racing the Chop racing is a handicap race. Obviously, as you can see, the categories all start at different times. It's all about everybody in the race with an opportunity to take the win out there. But at the same time, the categories need to be working together, and there is strength in numbers out on Zwift. We do have 16 A racers. We've got 46 B race. Well, 16 so far. There's probably still some warming up with 428 to go. 226 to go to the start of the B category. We've got 82 racers here in the C category. They might be the biggest one out there today. And strength in numbers because of the reality of the way that group dynamics work in both Zwift as well as in real life cycling. The more horsepower you got to take that draft, to take the win and give a draft to the rest of the pack, the faster it can travel there, Pat. So I think, having I kind of like the participation reward that also gets mixed in a little bit, though, with the reality of just having to put the work in at the front end of the pack.
Well, yeah, the great thing about the Chop, I think, is you know when you turn up that you've got a good chance every week. And if you don't win, but your grade wins, then that's sort of like a little moral victory as well. So you've helped someone else get a result that they may not have got without you turning up. And what we're learning about the Chop series in particular, but even the SRAM Send series from the higher caliber riders, the SRAM Send series was really, really a great series for them. But the Chop series, we find that riding that they're getting on the bike more often and they're riding harder. And well, if there's one way to ride harder, it's certainly to do a based race such as the Chop series.
Yeah, so that is definitely what's happening here as far as being able to push each other. That's something I think a lot of the riders do get out of it, is the reality of all of these racers around the same ability level as you are being able to push each other then though out on course, because they're right around that same ability level, they're going to be able to push over threshold, kind of put the pressure on the rest of the pack there. And there's this reality of like everybody working together, but being able to put your work in right at the front end for the group there. I think it's one of the best workouts you can find out on course. We do hear that a lot of times from those in all the categories, as long as they're out there putting the work in. I guess you might have a few on the back just hanging in, especially with 82 riders that might not be putting quite as much as some of the others, but that's probably part of the fun of it then too, if you're looking for a little bit more chill ride on the day. So any predictions here today, though? I mean, we've got 22 in the A's, 59 in the B's. The C category here, again, with 82. They do have a 5-minute gap still out to that D category. So a lot of landscape to make up here on 5 laps of the classic course.
I think that any time we start a handicap event, our favourites should be the C and D grade categories. They usually start with big numbers, but also they've got the head start. And I think that in any form of competition, you want to be in one position, and that's in front. And look, they're the bunny for the greyhound essentially, and we see whether the groups behind are strong enough. It's the same in the breakaway situations in professional cycling, and I think we'll see a great breakaway tonight at the Tour de France. And will the peloton catch up towards the end, like will A grade catch up tonight? Well, it's always in question because whilst you've got a lead, there's always that chance that something can happen in the other groups. Maybe the other groups drop too many riders. Maybe the other groups are strong for the event, but then they've got riders that don't feel so well. There's all sorts of mental games as well. If they get to the halfway mark and you've got more of a lead than half the starting gap that you had, that can play on the mind too. So there's all the advantages on the start line for mine push towards the C and D grade categories. And then it is after the start that those terms and conditions, if you like, start to change a little bit. But they only change depending on how hard A grade and B grade can go. Unfortunately, generally on the start line, the grade in which has got the toughest job every week is B grade. So I'd really, really get a lot out of seeing them achieve something good tonight. But to do that, they need to hold off A grade, plain and simple.
Interesting to see. The A category, I do feel like usually is one of the favorites out there compared to the B category. The B category, like you're saying, with only a 2-minute break between them and the A's, have a lot of work cut out for them just to hold off the A category, as they almost are always caught out on course here. Now we are seeing the B category with Norton here, Lucky Spine Cycling now making his way to the front. Solid kick here coming from the B category. The A category is just starting to take off. They did grab quite a few more riders. I think they're up to 30 riders here now in the pack for the A category. That's going to give them quite the boost as they take off from the line here now. We are seeing, it looks like Hodges from the KRT team there. Kim Little's up toward the front there as well. Good to see him jumping in, even though he's been doing some work for the broadcast. Looks like he had time to jump in and grab the bike here and throw down a little bit of power right off the get-go here. The former UK National Championship champion holder here now holding steady here. Bunch up, guys. Kay Leonard from Innovation here is the ride leader. Good to see. It looks like a little bit of a break for Jeffrey Creel this week, so good to see Innovation stepping up and throwing down 29 riders in this A category, as there is about a 2-minute gap up to the A's at this point. So it does look like we do have, I believe we do have the gaps here. I'll be able to bring them up here in just a second. And the live time gaps, we'll have to move them around a little bit, as it is covered up by the London Loop data there that's on our screen. But one of our feeds will not have that on there. We'll try and make sure that we do grab those time gaps for you again this week. Vine Nero Bianchi did show up, I believe. I think I was maybe racing against this rider. Might have seen him in the Shram Center series recently, but 8 smashes there as well as Kazar Johnson from AHDR here now in this A category here. Only 2:32 up to, well, I think it's almost 3 minutes up to the B category at this point, though. So back in with the C's. Let's see how things are working out here. Simpsons here. We'll be faster as a team and keep under the DQ if everybody doesn't push too hard. Interesting comment there. You do want to jump into the right categories, though. As once in a while in the week in, the week out, we do have a few riders that jump in and maybe just a little bit over limits.
That's right, and it's also you don't want to be in a group you're too strong for either, because you will push away from them, and certainly chasing on Swift, regardless of how strong you are, is incredibly difficult against a group that has the drafting prospects as well. You mentioned Jay Vine. Yes, he has been in the SRAM Senate series, and as you continue to point out week in and week out, because we do see some of the women from the SRAM Senate series also. We're seeing Taryn Heather line up week in and week out as well. So it's actually been that series that's complemented the chop rather than the other way around. So it's been great to see those riders. And I think that Jay Vine's really going to find that racing more on Zwift's going to elevate his ability outdoors as well. So I'm really interested to see what he can do in the National Road Series this year, because he certainly has surprised me in the SRAM Senate series.
Yeah, good to see riders here jumping in, not only in the top end pro-am racing or national races, series invites that we did have out there, but also seeing them here jumping into these community focused races and getting a solid workout here with some solid FTP work or above. Even over-unders is what we call them a lot of times, especially here in the chop racing. Now up to the front, C. Taylor here, it looks like. That's not Carly Taylor. I believe it's another C. Taylor out there. And then will it be
different
Sam?
one.
Yeah, I would think so. And then Sam Reynolds there making his way to the front there as well. Ivanov there, it looks like, coming out of Russia, I believe. Now at the front, driving the pace, absolutely. Looking to try and bring back some of these D category riders. There's a 236, it looks like, up to not the main pack that has been dropped off. Now, looks like they are paying attention, though. Grouped well together. This looks to be about the top 20 riders are all still together in this D category. Simpson was able to get everybody to kind of pay attention, though, in the C category. A little bit earlier, I did see her saying something as the riders had split. There was like a group of 20 off the front. She had just made one little comment, and back they came. And this is a very well-oiled machine, it seems like, here, this C category, with Crystal Simpson here leading things out and letting everybody know how they're going to best bring back those gaps. You can see the live gaps here right now, though, on the left-hand side. The D category leading things out. It's 3:20 between them and the C's. There was a 5-minute gap to start here, so already a minute 40 loss heading into the first lap here. Front two letting them know, hey, you're not going to win this solo. And so a little bit of a, hey, back it off here a little bit. We want to stay together. We are seeing the gaps here now between the C and the B category here is about 4 minutes or so. And then the A's, are they already all back together here with the A's category and the B category? No, there's no way. It's getting close, though. There's only about 24 seconds, so the B category already really suffering here. Oh, no, there's a little bit of a time gap difference that's not quite right there out on course there, because Trafalgar Square always kind of messes with the categories when it comes to the time gaps, because essentially, as you see the A category heading toward Trafalgar Square and then back on over past the 1 kilometer banner, they were right next to the Bs, which once in a while the game will think that they're actually right next to them, that they are within seconds of them. And then once the other category does leave that area, the time gap does change up there. We are watching chat, just so everybody knows. Kim Little's letting us know that time gaps go funky at junctions, just like I just said. So, yep, thanks. Appreciate that, Kim. And then we are seeing a couple little more chat. Pete Donahue's in there. Hey, fellas. Pete with the win last week in that D category. Quite a sprint there, Pat, coming from Pete up against Parslow.
Yeah, it was a great sprint. Unfortunately, he rolled a couple of my locals, which we don't really appreciate. I mean, we still congratulate him, but we'd much prefer to see some Belarus getting up there again. And I hope they do well again tonight. They've been really close to taking out the win in the last 2 weeks. So certainly a great participation rate. So happy with the representation, but we wouldn't mind taking out a chop race.
That'd be good for you, good for you. We can see Pat here get a little bit excited on the broadcast, perhaps here. But now we do see in the B category here, Norton, I think, was said enough of this and had just put in a solid effort and then decided the race was over. He grabbed the sprint jersey and is all done. So he was the one that we were following in that B category. It looks like he's like, nah, enough is enough, and jumped out of the race there. It was maybe just a little too much for him to handle. So moving forward, though, in the with the B category as they, I believe, are heading past the Palace here right now. We've kind of lost them out on course momentarily. We'll see if we can find them again in just a second here. But the A category now with Hodges leading things out, 3.7 watts per kilogram. Let's jump back in with the C's as I think they're the fairly consistent feed that we have right now. First to five riders, steady and tight. Save your bacon. Simpson saying, maybe is that the save her? Save the beacon so she doesn't fall off from the rest of the pack here. We'll have to wait and see if she's able to hang on. The B category, we have found them out on course as they are heading past Buckingham Palace right now. The leaders here putting out a solid 4.5 watts per kilogram. Millets up toward the front, it looks like, as well as Jarheed from the Vixen team. Good to see her showing up. One of the SRAM Send It series top 5, I believe. Did she jump up into this podium, I think, even in that last? She sprinted to the line this past week. I'm not sure you caught that at the live event, but she had quite the sprint to the line. Just nipping it, I think, away from the KOM Financial Group after Samara Shepard came across the line. So pretty cool to see her jumping out here into this B category and throwing down a solid effort up in those 4.9 watts per kilogram right now or so. So looks like the Vixen rider at 182 beats per minute is going to look to throw down and try and make the B category a little bit stronger to hold off those A's this week.
Yeah, Bjarhead was really good. She was really strong, and you really focus on the riders that are at the venue for the live event, and it's hard not to because the crowd was going so wild. And you touched on Samara Shepard, and I tell you what, absolute monster on the night, and she really got particularly the female crowd really going strong. I think they were really invigorated and inspired by her ride, to see it physically in person, watching her suffer as she did, because she wasn't holding anything back, but she did really want to take that win at the main event. But Barhead has been really good throughout the whole SRAM Send It series, and it's great to see her here tonight. And certainly B grade looks like it's a really good fit for our leading SRAM Send It series women category. As I said earlier, Tara and Heather, we've seen her line also in this category. And they certainly don't just sit in the group. They're really contributing. And, I mean, that's why I would mind seeing B grade really surge to the front tonight. And certainly I think they'd have too much power for C and D grade if it came down to a sprint.
Yeah, we are seeing it looks like he now making her way to the front here. Locke as well. We did see this past Tuesday in the Zwift Community Live Test Labs as well. Shayna Paulus, as well as some of the 2020 riders from ShoWare 2020 that showed up in that B grade and said it was the perfect category actually for the women to jump into and get a workout. She said that part of her feedback was actually that jumping into a B category race was like racing against some of the pro women, mixing the men in amongst that. So we might continue on with that, but good to see the Vixen rider out of Sweden here hammering away toward the front a whole lot. We did see her taking quite a few pulls. Back in with the C category, though, Simpson here still cracking the whip and letting everybody know exactly what they need to be doing. And it looks like they've got a large pack here. It says, see if you're off the back, make another group, keep at it, encouraging the riders on here at this point. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring up what the time gaps are here now, as it looks like 3:11. So C category struggling to bring much back here at this point. It looks like the D's are putting in some solid work so far. And with only 3:11 being there currently at this point, it's going to be a tough ask, I think. As we do head into the sprint section, though, here, see if anybody does start to ramp it up for a little bit of fun. It doesn't look like one rider here going off the front, and it is going to be Taylor here now going for that 535 watts right now. Now it's going to be Blasquez. Now following it up out of Spain. Is that rider, though, going to nip it at the line from Taylor? Doesn't look like it's going to happen, but it's going to be all about the speed for that top spot here on the sprint. Mackin here with a solid 13.50 for T-Cross amongst the women.
I don't just understand why the sprint, why they sprint to break up their field. I was suggesting to myself, actually, that C-grade were a little bit slower than in recent weeks. So I don't know whether this is tactic. They spoke about it in the chat on the line, just to hold back a little bit more so that they're stronger for that final. As potentially D grade starts to fatigue, maybe they've really got a little bit extra in the tank and go a bit harder and catch a final. But certainly if they go slow enough, it really sits well for B grade. B grade making the catch would obviously really help them. They could probably pick up a couple of helpers in C and then look to move on to then catch D grade. But a big shout out to everyone that started tonight because there's really high numbers again, which is great.
Yeah, 82 riders. I think they still got about 46 or so hanging out in and amongst this group right now. Now, if you didn't know, there's actually a Discord server for each one of these categories, which is pretty cool. I was looking through some of the description over on zwiftpower.com, and there's a little you can bring down this little menu that has a description on it, and the Chop actually has a Discord that they're using. There's an A grade, B grade, C grade, and D grade Discord. So if you do want to chat live with any of the ride leaders, it does look like we've got a couple people in there. Not a lot of people are using it. It looks like at this point, but 4:29 a.m. We did have one person jump on in here. Nadsy has used it before as well. It looks like some familiar names in there. So make sure if you are going to be jumping into the Discord channels. We will definitely be looking for. It's a new feature that we're trying to let everybody know about. Zwift Community Live also has a Discord. Now, it might get a little confusing if we start talking about separate servers in Discord and all this different kind of stuff. But if you do start using those, we'll do our best to, let everybody know about those as well as try and maybe get some interviews with some of the riders that do have a microphone connected and are doing any kind of communication. We might also, if you do start using it, and you are communicating within the group, get a little bit of a team car going on in there to see how things are going with the communication. I am seeing Michelle Crick in here as well saying, go ahead there, Pat.
I think it's a fantastic thing to do, and I think the riders should really embrace that. And it's hilarious that you bring it up because it reminded me of last week. I got home after doing the stream with you, Nathan, and my son said, "Oh, how do you talk during the stream?" And I said, "Oh, we'd have a little chat." And he goes, "Oh, you should have a Discord, and the groups in the race should have a Discord." And I'm just like, and he's 8 years old, so you're spot on, Carter. You've absolutely nailed it. He's all over it, and this is all new stuff to his father, so I feel very old at times.
Absolutely love it. Well, it is something we're looking to bring back for sure. Zwift Community Live has a Discord. We would even be, if we want to make it a hub for all things Zwift, especially when we have broadcasts, we could share there as well. So I know if some of the organizers are watching, let's have a chat afterwards and figure out how we can make this as best as we possibly can and promote all the ways that people can connect through the experience here. I am seeing Jeremy hanging out in the D grade saying, "Hey, Nathan," in the Discord chat actually right now. So good to see Jeremy. I see you there, Jeremy, and thanks for the shout out there. So back in with the A category, though, here, and we are seeing Kay Leonard here saying, "Nice work, guys, on the current paces that they are holding." It does look like they were able to bring back the B category fairly quickly almost here. They are right on their heels, only 52 seconds up to the B category, and they're only, I believe, 2.5 laps in at this point. So it's going to be a hard, like you said, the B category, always the ones, it seems like, with their work cut out for them, Pat.
Yeah, it's always been a difficult scenario, and even in what we call handicap racing in Australia, the block, which they're considered, B grade is considered to be the block, and really they struggle to get the big results unless you got a fast sprinter. And so I think that's essentially the organisers can take into play and maybe just give them that extra half a minute or a minute start on A grade. And I think that will really bring the race a lot closer together towards the end, because I think A grade on weeks like this week where they get on early, they're nearly impossible to beat because certainly they do have B graders that are strong enough to help them out. But it'd be very difficult for a B grade to have the legs to out sprint them as well after spending almost what will be half of the total race tonight in the A grade category as well. So Jay Vine still performing really well at the front there. Is really good to see him representing from the National Road Series team, Nero Bianchi. But yeah, I think potentially it's time to really give a great opportunity to stay away. They may not catch C or D next week, but at least give them that chance to really give it a nudge.
Yeah, we are seeing it looks like B category, perhaps. You know, Pat, I wonder, is there a little bit of a let's just wait up anyways? Like, if we're gonna win this, let's get these A's with us and then give it a go once they're actually here. Is there a little motivation there? As you're saying, it's the block, and they're almost always caught, and once they are, then they've got this extra kick there from the A category. Maybe hold up, reserve some energy. If you're right on the edge of that 4 watts per kilogram, you've got some power and you've got a sprint. A few of the stronger riders in the B category almost just like, hey, we want the A's to catch us. Is that a thing usually or not really?
So it can depend. So certainly, if you want, say for example, you line up in a handicap in Australia or a race like this evening, spoken about it on other weeks. A grade, or as they're known in a handicap race as scratch, so they start as scratch. They are up. They have up for grabs an award called the fastest time. Now that's for the rider that completes the distance of the race in the fastest time. Pretty self-explanatory. Often the scratch bunch is stronger than the second scratch bunch or block, so it makes it difficult for them to be available to win that prize, because even if scratch is only 10 seconds faster, they aren't valid for that prize. So really, second scratch or B grade in this race needs to catch the lead to have a prize. And so in real life racing, yes, it is a thing. I don't see it as a valid option in this Zwift series of the Chop, because there's no fastest time award. So we're not looking for who is the fastest rider on the night. We're looking at the top 10 really each week, or the winning group. And so therefore, there wouldn't really be a reason to wait up. And I think that if you are waiting up for A grade and staying with them all the way to the end, even if they're beating you at the finish, you're probably an A grader. Just saying.
That's a good call, actually, on the probably an A grader. Time for an upgrade, and I always like the call outs on that, just keeping it real. But we are seeing in the D category, we have found them. We haven't forgot about you. I know some of them watching the broadcast are probably like, "Where are we on the course here?" No, we're paying attention here, D grade, and here you are. And it does look like they do have a solid gap here. You know, it's coming down. The C's are out onto the mall here now. It looks like heading through the lap banner here in just a moment here, but they still got a steady gap. It looks like it's not come down too much that they're that it's all said and done. 238. 238 out on course still here, so they've got a lot of time. This could be a week for them again here. Will they make it 3 in a row? They still got Johnny Boy in there. Johnny Boy's been extremely strong, winning 2 weeks back, I believe it was, with a solid effort. What course were we on there? It's missing me here for a second here. And then Donahue was there last week. Now, has he made the main group? I thought I saw him that he had fallen off early on, or perhaps he didn't make the race out there today. As
Yeah,
it does not look like he's
Johnny
married.
Boy took the win on Innisbrook.
Thank you, thank you. So a little bit of a climber's course, and I think Johnny Boy's got something kind of similar, not nearly as steep, but they do have the kick each lap, and he might be able to find that breakaway there toward the end again. Gonna have some motivation there for that situation. We'll have to wait and see. Still, it looks like 20 riders or so, I believe, in this. So lot of D riders here. If they keep working well together here, this is a definite threat, I think, to the rest of the categories. Pat.
Degrade is always a threat, I think. It's all about how do they manage the last couple of laps. That's the biggest thing. And in the weeks they haven't won, it's been because they've really lost too much time up the ascent, and that's really the crucial part. They need the legs to continue to pace they do on the early all the way through to the end. It's much like a time trial, really. It's a team's time trial, yes, but it's also like an individual time trial. There's no point going out hard and CBs for the first 5-10 kilometer efforts, or first 5 minutes straight out of the blocks. You're hitting all new numbers, all best numbers. If in the last 5 minutes you're also hitting the worst numbers you've ever done in a race. So it's about learning about where your cap is. And for a lot of us, we talk about functional threshold power, FTP, as some people might know it. And it's very similar to that. But the problem with a group ride is that your pace varies. It's not always at once. You might be really good on the flats, but on the climbs, group, even though it is a group that you should be in, really hurts you on the climb. But then when you get on the flat, you're hurting other people that were feeling good on the climb. So it's about that energy expenditure and making sure that you can eat each other throughout the entire race, not just in the early parts. So we always call that the half-wheeling Harry, someone that
Yeah,
really
really, Harry, I
half-wheel
love it.
faster than anyone else at all times, and then they're not there to help when it matters, but they've worn out everyone that could have helped. So it's about just staying at that tempo, listening to your ride leader, and trying to work at an even rate, start to finish.
We are seeing, speaking of trying to keep things even here, a little bit of a gap opening up in the D categories. They do hit that section. It was Johnny Boy. We've been talking about him a little bit here. Also, Rockier off the front here from Team ZF, maybe looking for a solo break, saying you guys just aren't going fast enough for me. What are the category limits again? It's all about the 2.0. I believe it's up to 2.5 for that
Yep.
D category. So for the category limits currently, just a little bit over for the D. That doesn't mean they're going to stay there. 2.8 currently coming from a couple of the riders here. So right on the edge there, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay there for the average all the way through. Some of these riders may have gone, like as you were saying, little too far over for their, for being able to hang on to that kind of average till the finish line. But for the C category, let's jump back in with them, see how things are going here. 19.9 in to the race at this point. It's going to be a 33-kilometer race here, and still steady. And they are coming up pretty quickly on the category, just ahead of the time gap here, down to 132. And the D category is just almost literally right around the corner here at this point. Now, we did jump back to the A's here real quickly. As it did look like there was a little bit of a dropout there momentarily from one of the riders, but the A's have caught the B category. So there is a huge contingent of riders here. Now, this is kind of, I feel like this is the ramp up now. You know, this is when things start getting kind of a little bit anxious. It feels like you can tell the riders now that once this B category has been caught, it's like, okay, now it's time to really turn the screws for those who've been reserving any kind of energy. I feel like the matches are really starting to get burnt here.
Yeah, certainly, and some panic also sets in because, okay, we're trucking really well. We're nearly caught B grade. We can see the gaps coming down to them. Oh, we've caught them. Now look at this massive gap to C grade and on again when they catch C grade to look for D grade. I think it's going to work in A grade advantage tonight is unfortunately for C grade, the grade that I think probably has the best to catch D grade. They've got a lot of riders going rogue, I'd call it tonight. They're attacking off the front on the climbs. They're sprinting for the sprint down through outside of Trafalgar Square and down the and straight. And that's concerning for me. It really is all about a team. And unfortunately, there's a chosen few that don't really want to go about it as a team and not go about it individually. They want to show each other, the other people in the group, who's the strongest. Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, if it's too easy and you're going off the front, who's like we're seeing from these right front at the moment, yeah, it's probably that you go back to, and we see a message coming through now from Crystal Simpson, teamwork question mark, and you know what, she's got a lot of reasons for posting that up tonight, and I think that the rest of the group needs to stick with your ride leader. You've got confidence in your ride leader. And listen to the words that are coming through because and few can actually ruin everyone else. And even in real life, have it happen. But normally there will be a vocal group or vocal couple of riders that will pull people into line, and they're usually the more experienced riders that would do that and talk about tempo and talk about where we need to go hard and where we need to go easy. But tonight, certainly some riders really out to show everyone how strong they are, but it's not the way to win these races.
Yeah, we do see it looks like Yesiek Trek, it looks like coming out of Korea here off the front. Not sure. Maybe outside of category limits even, so it may have a disqualification. We'll have to wait and see. But that's not on the broadcast or Zwift. It's all about the organizers of the race. They'll take care of that for everybody at the end if it is outside of category limits. But so the rest of the group, if they continue to work together and it is outside of category limits, because a lot of times that might be what happens in these races where somebody is riding in a category that they should not be, and they go over the limits. Because if you do just ride off the front from the pack like that, the reality most likely is that the pack, most of them are going to be within that category limit, and if you're just walking away from them, you're most likely not within it, and they can just let them go, and at the same time not get that auto bus to stay away. But then still continue to work together with them within themselves there. So it is kind of cool how the community does have the tools with SwiftPower.com to get the results right that they need to, though, with those tools, Pat, I think. And so they can just let riders like that go and leave it alone, because it looks like it is a B to an A category ride coming from the rider off the front.
Yeah, and I think that essentially you have hit the nail right on the head. A lot of these riders, and as we feed through the groups, we see the heart rates quite high, and that's how it should be, and that's the motivation to come and do the Chop series, is that you're going to get that hard work out. You're going to go and get to ride next to rider A, B, C, and D that you race with each week, and you get to help each other. And a lot of the riders get into a chit chat with each other, whether it be over Facebook, via the community live page, or whether it even be on Twitter or Instagram. They find each other, follow each other, or whether it's a meetup during the week on Zwift as well. And I really love that aspect of Zwift in general, but certainly the Chop series is a community series wholeheartedly. And 99% of the people involved in it want to see it progress, and they want to see their friends come along, and they want to tell people about it. But we also get new riders, and sometimes they make a mistake and sign up to the wrong group, or they're a bit anxious and they don't want to go into the group that they should be in because they don't want to get dropped. And I understand all those things, but certainly punching off the front at massive amounts of wattage is not really the way we want to see it done. If you're in the wrong group, then still stick with that group's pace for that week, learn about where you're at, and then you can gauge your abilities off that and put yourself in the right grade. Great to see Fraser on the front here for Park Life Cycling Club. And doing a fair turn too, being a long turn up the straight. They know now, A-grade, that they've got a big job ahead of them. And look, they're hungry for success. They won the first 3 weeks of the streaming, and now they want to be the top dogs again for another week at the coffee shops.
Yeah, we are seeing Park Life now taking a little bit of a rest, but he took a solid post, 6.5 watts per kilogram, it looked like, for a moment or two there. Again, Nero Bianchi here now, Vine now toward the front, it looks like, but it's going to be Hodges, who from the gate was on the front, demolishing it for the KRT team. Need you in A, Pat Shaw. Kay Leonard calling you out there on watching the stream. We'll get Pat both in Discord as well as over on the call. We'll have his son in there teaching him all the buttons to push for the Discord, making him a true gamer alongside of the race. So, are we going to get you live on a bike there from the shop maybe one of these days, Pat? What grade category would you be in if we made that happen?
Currently, I'd be struggled on the D grade, and unfortunately, my legs have not done a lot of turns in anger for quite a period of time. But I do have the desire to get back on, and I certainly would love to come back to the Chop series, albeit that it almost killed me last year. Such a tough race, particularly in A grade. I can tell you right now that even at my absolute best, I struggled to keep up with guys in A grade. They just got the ability to push such high power, and unfortunately a rider like me that rode mostly off smarts, not so much off a handicap event on Zwift isn't really suited to develop my capabilities, should I say. But thanks for the shout out, and certainly would love to be able to be in there, but certainly at the moment I think it would only be in representation as a bot, not as a rider in real life.
Maybe we'll have to. Well, maybe Nathan will have to take one for the team, and we'll have to get a second commentator alongside of you there, Pat, or within a call. And Nathan will jump on the bike, and you guys can just rib me the whole time about how things are going with the grades. We'll be on that. Wendy, as well as Dave and the rest hanging out in there. Kent Leonard as well. We see all your chat, and we definitely want to. See if we can show some of the real life suffering happening here, and the commentators, maybe we just sit back and watch a whole lot. So one of these days maybe we need to put put a little bit on the line here where our mouths are. But Vine here now, 6.3 toward the front. Now trying to make the catch. The C's are in an angst, I think, here as they are on the same climb, and this might be all said and done, I think, Pat, for the C category.
Yes, well, now comes the catch, but certainly a lot of work still to be done, and the race hasn't been decided yet. I like your idea of calling us out, but I'm happier to watch you race, and I could call that week. My days are suffering. I don't know, but Nathan, I've seen you on Zwift doing a lot of races. You can still mix it. Seriously. I don't know. I don't have that desire to really taste that blood or really push that heart rate right high at this moment. I don't know what it is, whether it's just too much of it, whether I'm a bit worried about just getting back like a lot of the others, but certainly been another amicable display tonight by A grade. I'd love to see some B grades just hang in there to the end and see what they can deliver on a flat sprint. But can D grade survive? Do you think they got it tonight, Nathan, or you think A grade's going to swallow everyone up?
It's close. It is fairly close here. We're gonna have, I believe, it's gonna be one lap to go, and they are heading into that one lap to go. It's not as close as it was the last time we were on this course. Actually, A grade was much closer on the start of the D grade lap, so I think this is gonna come right down to the wire. A grade about to make that juncture. We can watch it real quickly, but here's the D grade starting there. Final lap, the A grade here within 5 seconds, and on the front, the push is coming on from Smash as well as Fraser from Park Life there. There's that C category. They're going to gain a whole lot of speed here from the C's, the B's, and the A's all being together. We're going to have well over 100 riders here now chasing down this D category that is still off the front. And I think the organizers really nailed it this week to make it an interesting race for the chase, at least for the D category. Because they have a feeling this is going to really come down to it with all of the categories chasing those Ds now, Pat.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be on. I think it's about, a minute 40 to the front. And it's looking like a decent in D grade, but they're going to have to pull out all stops because the speed that A grade will travel in this final lap, they'll leave nothing on the table. Use absolutely every bit they've got. And looking at the chat and a little bit of the backlash that I'm getting, I think that A grade's fairly motivated to get the job done tonight. So for that, I'm going to be pushing the D's all the way.
Yeah, we are seeing a little bit of backlash there, and I actually can relate though on the chat there, and what you had to say about not wanting to suffer too much. It took a few races to get that that chomp back, that bit in my mouth, that little bit of like chasing the apple. I'm not sure where it came from all of a sudden, but it's very recent, and I think Zwift Racing helped me get that a little bit. From the house here. So maybe let's go, chat. Let's get a little encouragement here for Pat to just get out there and try and get a couple more races to find that suffering. I did do a box hill twice over the top here this last night, about 5 hours ago. It was a lot of fun, type 2 type fun. I didn't think it was gonna happen. We were able to take down the sprint. So Pat, if I can do it, I think you can do it. Let's go. We got to get you in the Discord though, and we'll make it happen. All right,
challenge accepted. But I
want you hear that? Challenge accepted. Pat, go on.
Yeah, challenge accepted. But I want 8 weeks. You can pick a role, join in. Don't mind what it is, but I'm on. I need 8 weeks though. I'm not going all the excuses, but give me 8 weeks, steps, and it's on.
Oh boy! So 8 weeks, and we're going to be like outside of Australian summer altogether. I mean, we're going to be outside of Australian winter altogether in 8 weeks, heading into a season. Then
I'm good with warm conditions. That's fine. And just the record before we time to shine, Pat. Think needs. Anyways, I would like to say I haven't ridden a bike in about weeks because of the schedule. So let's just keep it in perspective. I've got 8 weeks, event, and I'll be there.
Sounds good. Pat, we are breaking up just a little bit. If you do have anything open in the background there, maybe bring it down just a little bit, just because we are getting the mic is coming through a little bit jagged at the moment. But we are getting Wendy Mae Abbott here. How about Pat, Wes, Nathan, and Jesper Anchor all battling it out against each other? All right, so 4 up, all in a different category, right? So like we'll have to
Yeah, I'll
figure
go
out
D.
where. Pat says he's going to go D. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But I'm loving the idea there. We'll see where Wes I think will be jumping into the B category. Jesper maybe into the C's or maybe the other way around. We'll have to see how that plays out. I think Wes has been on the bike a little bit, but 44 seconds up to the D's, I believe. Man, I thought they were going to hold off, but the climb is coming in. They caught him on the climb last time, too. They may be able to hold off to that 1 kilometer to go banner, but the A's are storming now at this point, and I'm not sure it's going to be able to happen here. 476 watts coming from Melville here. Creel's in there as well. Little's in here. We've got some of the strongest riders here out on Zwift chasing down these D categories. They've really got to turn the screws at the front end here. Now, first place is Morley here from the D category right now, but the gap is only, it looks like, 22 seconds now. And the climb is here.
Yes.
Not sure it's going to happen here, Pat.
It's over, unfortunately, for my man Morley in front group. He was 5th last week. Ballarat proud, but it's going to be a big effort for D-grade. Someone's going to have to go rogue, go solo on this climb and do the biggest ride of their life. Well, I hope someone can hold on, but it's looking more and more A-grade. They're back. They want the crown back, and tonight looks like they're going to. Even if they don't catch on this climb, a lot of people don't realise just how hard that next 400 to 600 metres is after the top of this hill. And it really is tough. And that's where particularly A-grade and B-grade really benefit on this course, is not only just on the climb, but the 600 metres afterwards. As we see Johnny Boy going rogue, I love it. He's been called out. He knows this is what's required. He's going to need the best 2.5 kilometres of his life. He's got the disc wheel back. Go, Johnny Boy.
Johnny Boy, 3.1 watts per kilogram now, 19.5 miles, and I think it's going to be 31.5 kilometers. He's got 1.5 kilometers or so to go. Can Johnny Boy make this happen? He's won like this before. He's well over threshold here at this point here, and how long can you hold on after a race this long at this point? The B category there, we can see a few of them that were actually lapped there a little ways back, but it's Miyamoto, I believe, who's also been lapped. So no, there's nobody within sights just yet of Johnny Boy from the categories that are making the chase here at this point. Johnson from Team AHDR, though, I do see him in the A feed now, just making his way through the section that we just saw Johnny Boy come through. They're within sight here at this point. It's only 7 seconds, and it's all over here for the D category. The last-ditch effort there did come in from Johnny Boy, the winner on the Innsbruck course, but not going to happen. D category, they won 2 weeks in a row. Now the question is there going to be a counterattack immediately upon the catch? It's only 1K to go. It's going to have to be a really brave effort, though. What do you think of a counterattack at 1K? 1K to go efforts, a lot of times do get shut down pretty quickly, I think, Pat.
It was my signature move in my real Zwift racing days. I used to go from 1 kilometre to go with the aero power up, but it's not as good a power up anymore. A lot shorter, and we saw on Tuesday night the SRAM Send series, Cam Roberts, he made an extensive, it was a brilliant attack, and to see it in live was so impressive. He put out huge power, but he caught nonetheless. And where did he get caught? He got caught final when everyone started firing off the aero power-ups and drafting off each other, and I think that there's no way that it can survive now to go with the aero power-up being demoted ever so slightly. Very close to see who can take it out.
Yeah, now we are coming into the final here. It's within 400 meters or so. Johnson's now going. Here comes some of the aero power-ups, just as you were mentioning. Kim Little, former UK national champion, 15 watts per kilogram. If anybody knows how to sprint, it's Kim Little. And the UK man walking away with this one, it looks like. It looks maybe hold the line. Vine's trying to come across. There's still a few hundred meters to go here. Kim Little, though, I think with enough of a gap, takes it down. It looks like Creel there for second. Solid respect to him there on that amazing effort there from Creel coming through with the sprint jersey, actually. So the fastest time across, it looked like. We had Johnny Boy there, guys. We'll get the replay there. Is that we were just following the D category on the live feed. But here is what we just saw from the A category. Apologies on that, guys, as we were had made a mistake there on the feed there momentarily. But Kim Little going across there with that arrow power up, got a huge gap over the top of the rest of the riders there, as you can see. And as you can see, Creel there coming across in second. I believe it was going to be Simon there for coming in for third. Solid result. But Creel, as you can see, oh no, it's Kim Little actually, I think. Oh no, Creel did grab it right as he came across there with the fastest time for the sprint. So solid efforts there all around. It will be Kim Little across the line in first place for the A's. Look at all the A's there, top 10. Jeffrey Creel there for second. It's going to be Jesse Simon there coming in for third. And it's going to be Jay Vine Nero Bianchi there, called up by Clement Bastian coming out of Belgium. Brendan Johnson for sixth for Team AHDR. David Melville in seventh. Alexander Chatzakis for the BRT team. Keith Leonard, the ride leader. Shout out to him and Innovation for helping out this week, leading the ride. Tim Hedger for 10th place there across the line. Amazing racing all around, Pat. And now we've got 8 weeks of work for you, Pat, coming up here.
Yes, 8 weeks starts today. No, it won't start today. I'm too busy this evening, but certainly that's it. I'm on. I'll get the kicker all sorted out, and I'm on board. So look out, because I'll be in a couple of those D-grade category races in the next few weeks. I've got to say, that was really good handicapping tonight to the series organisers. I'm just going to put out a sneaky little word in there for all my friends in B-grade. I think they deserve a 1 minute lift out, and I think that all the other categories stay the same. I reckon we've got a pretty good race on our hands coming up next week.
Yeah, I really hope to see the B grade, try and throw down and grab a few more in that category, everybody. It'd be good to see. Pat, thanks a lot for joining in. Appreciate it as always. And we'll see you out on Zwift a little bit more. Maybe, I get on around the same time as probably you can come home for dinner, I think, or something. So I think we could work it out where we're both racing the same races at the same time, I would think. Perhaps we'll have to see how it works out. That's not good. Pat doesn't like that idea one bit whatsoever. But all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit those follow buttons wherever you are watching. We're live on Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, as well as Facebook. Make sure to hit those notification buttons as well, so that you do get notifications anytime that we do go live. A lot of the platforms have a little extra bell or something you got to push to let you know anytime that we go live. Next up for streaming, we will be live next week with the weekly wind-up on Zwift Community Live, as well as then we do have Tuesdays for the new Zwift Community Live Test Labs. If you haven't watched that stream, it's a brand new race series that we've got going on, testing all the new features to make Zwift an esport within the community feedback space. There will be a feedback forum on that if you haven't checked it out, if you haven't seen that that's happening, but it's going to be on Zwift Power. We'll be looking for all the feedback coming on through Zwift Power. But congratulations to all the riders out there. Thanks everybody who showed up for the chop. Hope to see more of you out there next week. And as always, everybody, ride on.